over to Dave Moore. Dave?
Thank you, Councilman.
Thank you.
You bet. Thank you. If you can't see this screen very well, I encourage you to move to where you can see it, because you're going to want to see what's on this screen. And that's my daughter. That's when she was about 6. And one of our favorite things to do was go fishing in little farm ponds around East Norman and Cleveland County. And it's still one of our favorite things to do, but now she's 36. In fact, today is her birthday. Happy birthday, girl. But I am not a great public speaker. I'm not trained at it. I can get by, okay? I mainly teach classes about cybersecurity at libraries and public events and things like that, but there's my first major experience in public speaking. That's me, the long-haired guy with the striped shirt and the overalls on. That's me. That was in 1999 because I read an article in the newspaper. Well, it wasn't much of an article. It was a little clip, about 3 inches high and 1 inch wide, buried on page 7. It said, there's going to be a public meeting at VOTEC about this new highway project, and here's a website you can go look at if you want to know more about it. So I did. Oh, it was called VOTEC back then. Now it's more Norman, technical, VOTEC, you know. So I went to the meeting, and I was shocked, as were most of the people that showed up, because nobody saw anything like this coming. And so a bunch of us got up, and because there was a comment section. Unlike OTA meetings these days, there was a section where the public got up to say things in front of a microphone, like, what about this, or what about that? So I did. And then I wrote a letter to the Norman Transcript newspaper complaining about the situation, and I made the mistake of putting my phone number in it. My phone didn't stop ringing for 6 months. No kidding. I was up to my neck in alligators every day. And this is what we did. And so we had a meeting over at the Norman Public Library. It was crowded. It was wall-to-wall people. Tom was there. And we just said, okay, folks, what do you think? Well, it wasn't hard to figure out what they thought. And so, I don't know if you can see this or not. This is one of the things, they had 5 different routes they wanted people to think about. Let's see. Right there's Thunderbird, okay, and Draper. There's Thunderbird, yeah. And, oh, sorry. There's Thunderbird, there's Draper, right there. So most of the routes went right through here in between Thunderbird and Draper. Same kind of deal you're seeing today. And we said no. And we said no in a very loud way. And thousands of people said no. It wasn't just us in Norman. All of a sudden, it's exploding because this highway was supposed to start, it was supposed to start around Norman and swing around and go all the way up to Arcadia and Edmond. And so people in Edmond started finding out what's going on. And they started organizing meetings. In fact, that guy right there, Jerry Soker, told me, he said, I thought I was waiting for Moses to come along and take my hand and lead me to the promised land, and then I realized I was the one out front waving the flag. That was me and him and a whole bunch of other people. And we learned things, we researched things. Most of the stuff that we did, we pulled right out of the Department of Transportation's documents because it wasn't just OTA. It was the Oklahoma Department of Transportation, it was the Association of Central Oklahoma Governments, and the Oklahoma Turnpike Authority. All 3 of those groups are doing all of this, and they're basically saying, here we come, people, we're coming. You better get out of the way. Well, we didn't want to get out of the way. And so eventually, the Norman City Council passed a resolution against it. So did the, sometimes they're called the city trustees. But it was the Norman City Council, the councils of Jones, Choctaw, and Arcadia. They said, nope, we're not doing it. And finally, they backed off. They said, okay, forget about it. We can't take it. You guys are too much. We quit. And so we thought they were quitting. That was 23 years ago. And here we are today. $5 billion. With a B billion. $5 billion. So I'm here to tell you tonight how this project is bad for the economy, bad for the environment, bad for the watershed and water supply, bad for wildlife, and bad for all Oklahoma citizens. Because everybody in Oklahoma has to be involved, and it's going to touch everybody. So here we are, out of control borrowing and spending. At current levels, the way things are going, $5 billion they want to buy bonds with, it will take 180 years to pay them back, and that's just the principal. That's not even the interest. So this is out of control borrowing and spending. Now, I think it's appropriate at this time to mention that the Oklahoma Republican Party platform, I'm quoting from it right here. This is on their website today. This is the platform that Governor Stitt campaigned on. We support a moratorium on the creation of additional turnpikes in Oklahoma until existing turnpikes have been paid off and turned into free roads and given to the state. In addition, we oppose the use of eminent domain to build and operate toll roads. That's what the Republican Party platform says right now if you go to the website. I pointed this out to a couple of, I call them big shot Republican Party guys in Norman, Cleveland County, and they're like, really? It says that? Yes, sir, it does. I didn't make it up. They go look it up and they call me back and go, oh boy, this is good, isn't it? I'm like, well, is it? I don't know. But this is what it says. This is the campaign that Governor Stitt campaigned on. So, now, the roads were supposed to be paid off in 6 years from now. They were going to be paid off and turned into free roads, okay? No, we can't do that. Oh my goodness, that would be bad for somebody's business. Wouldn't be bad for our business. They were going to be paid off. So I think it's appropriate to ask a question of our governor. Are you going to honor that campaign promise? Are you? I don't know if he is or not. He's got time. He's got till November anyway, probably, but it's a good question. And by the way, I'm not a Republican. I'm not a Democrat, okay? I dislike both parties equally. I'm a registered independent. But I expect if I'm going to vote for somebody and they make a promise to me, they need to keep it. So, all right. You can't quite see that, can you? That says, there's the map, okay? There's what they're proposing. There's Thunderbird right there. There's Draper. Here's the route. Then here's the route going down Indian Hills. Here's this. Here we go. Oh, well. 600 800 homes destroyed. Hopes and dreams crushed. Property rights crushed. Families forced out. And land use in the area will be altered forever. There's another shot of it. There's Ward 4 right there. Kind of funny boundary lines, but there it is. And so, there's why you're here tonight if you live in Ward 4. There it is. Hundreds of homes, hundreds of people, hundreds of families. So a lot of people are looking at a lot of different aspects about these proposed toll road routes. We're looking at the environment, we're looking at wildlife, we're looking at the watershed and our water supply. We're looking at the toll that it takes on people, on humans. Okay, so there's the Lake Thunderbird watershed right there. There's Thunderbird, there's Draper, and all of these little creeks and things feed right in to our water supply right there. And here we got these two proposed toll roads going right smack dab the middle of it. This is bad news.
Just a second, I want to see this a little closer.
Yes, ma'am.
My eyes aren't that good. But
This is the same one that Amy Cerato showed at her presentation at OTA. Yeah. Right smack dab in the middle of the watershed.
Excuse me.
Bad news. Bad, bad, bad. What are these people thinking? Are they thinking? There will be tremendous carnage. Okay, and let's see if I can read that. I'm sorry, folks. This screen looked bigger in my living room. It did. It looked huge. Wildlife will eventually be trapped in a desert bounded by I-35 to the west, I-240 to the north, Highway 9 to the south, and the proposed toll road running alongside the lake. Because most wildlife look at a major highway, they're not crossing that thing. You turn around and you go back. Now, here's the bottom line. If, and to me this is a big if, okay? If the OTA is allowed to continue their plans to build their toll road, if they're allowed to go through eminent domain proceedings and condemnation, if they are, and if you refuse, this is going to be you. If you refuse. And I mean, we all know that, right? But we just kind of don't want to really face it. I don't. Who wants to do that? But here come the sheriff deputies. They will drag you out of your home and probably arrest you. And then the bulldozers will smash down your house. At a meeting that I went to in 1999, it was a meeting with me and Jerry from Edmond and a couple other people from around the area. And Arcadia Mayor Marilyn Morell was there. Marilyn Morell was awesome. She was an old school civil rights activist from the 60s. She learned nonviolent resistance and techniques like that, Martin Luther King Jr. style. She was awesome, and she stood up at that meeting. We were talking about this and that and the other thing. She said, "Dave," yes ma'am, "I will chain myself to any bulldozer that tries to put a highway through my town." That's what she said. Now, I was just 23 years ago, I was 45, okay? I'm not 45 anymore. But she impressed me when she said that because she meant it. And then she invited us up to a meeting up there in Arcadia at a church they had up there, and those people meant it too. They weren't messing around. So, this is what we want to avoid. Now, eminent domain abuse is not a new thing. Back in the 99, 98, that's when I got my crash education in what eminent domain was, and it wasn't what I thought it was. It has evolved over the decades and decades into a complete perversion of what is actually in the Constitution for the United States of America. Completely different. We'll talk about that here in a second, but eminent domain abuse, it happens all the time. This is my stance. This is the stance of a lot of people that I work with in this group. We believe that governments need to prove, and this is what I thought eminent domain was, you need to prove an urgent, overriding need, demonstrating that there is absolutely no other way to serve and protect the public than by exercising eminent domain and forcibly taking a citizen's private property. So, don't listen to what a lot of people are going to tell you. This is not a done deal. It is not a done deal by a long shot. There we are, back in 1999. We did it back then. We can do it today. The Norman City Council passed a resolution just like they did in 99. They did it a couple of weeks ago. It was awesome. So did the Cleveland County Commissioners. That was a good one. So, slowly but surely, I think we're seeing, you probably know stories from the Bible about they all circled the city and they all smashed their pots together and that city came tumbling down, right? So slowly but surely there are little chinks that are showing up in their armor. If you want to know more, this is a video that I recommend you go see. It's on YouTube. That's the address for it. It's very informative because when I worked on that thing for probably 4 or 5 days, and when I was done with it and I sat back and watched it, I cried. Because it's not me, it's everybody out here. This is a very powerful thing because they're messing with people's lives. So I recommend you go watch it. Watch it on YouTube. See what you think. And then you can visit this website and you can join with us and continue on because this is not a done deal. So it's been my honor to stand up here before you and speak, because when I do these things, I realize I get to meet the greatest people in the world doing this sort of thing. So thank you, Councilman. That's my piece.